Hi guys! So in this video we're going to look at how to resolve a Phrygian cadence. Alright, so I've got a couple notes here that I recommend that you add to your own notes so that you can refer to them when you're writing this in your assignments. So the Phrygian cadence is a pretty specific type of half cadence. So it's very specifically a 4/6 to a 5 only in the minor mode. So if you're in the major mode and you have a 4/6 to 5, it's not a Phrygian cadence. It has to be very specifically 4/6 to 5 in the minor mode, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So 4/6 to 5 in the minor mode, it's a type of half cadence, and so the 5 chord acts like it normally would in a half cadence. It's a root position 5, right? And typically half cadence are triads, they're not 5/7 chords. So this is also going to be a 5 and not a 5/7. Okay, so let's hold off on the other two things for just a moment and let's just get started here. So if we're in the key of 2 flats, I'm in the key of G minor, let's just think through what we've got in our chord. Okay, so the 4 chord in the key of G is going to be C, E flat, G, right? My 5 chord is going to be D, F sharp, because I'm going to raise my leading tone, make it major, A. Okay, root position chords, you double the root, right? So in this chord, you're going to double the D. In first inversion chords, typically you can double anything. In the Phrygian cadence, very specifically, you're going to double scale degree 1, which is the 5th of the chord. If you don't do this, you're going to run into part writing issues, and I'll show you in a moment. But what I want you to memorize, if you can, is just to double that scale degree 1, and that'll keep you out of trouble. Okay, so let's start working this out here. So if I've got a 4/6 chord, that means the 1/3 of the chord is in the bass, right? So E flat is in the bass, going to D in the bass. Right, so if I write these in here, this is specifically what defines the Phrygian cadence. It's this half-step motion in the bass. So you see a flat 6 going to 5 in the bass, or this is a minor second in the bass. And this is where the name of the cadence comes from. So in the Phrygian mode, if you're familiar with your modes, the Phrygian mode has a half step that goes down to scale degree 1. So I got the E Phrygian mode here, and you notice from scale degree 2 to scale degree 1, from F to E, is a minor second. So this is a pretty distinctive part of a cadence when you're working in the Phrygian mode. And so this is where the name of the cadence comes from. And so it's specifically that half step down. And this is why the cadence has to occur in the minor mode, because if I'm in the major mode, think about it, if I'm in the key of G major, then I have just an F sharp in the key, which means that this would be E natural going down to D. In other words, a major second, not a minor second. So that's why if you have a 4/6 to 5 in the major key, it's not a Phrygian cadence. It no longer has that distinctive half step in the bass. Okay, so we've got our nice little half step in the bass, the 4/6 to 5, which you have anyway if you just write out the inversions of the chords. And then typically you're going to have the 4 to 5 in the top voice, a pretty specific type of voice leading. So if you write out 4 to 5, scale degree 4 to 5, that's going to be C going to D. And what you'll notice is that this is contrary movement into an octave, which looks an awful lot like our cadences and counterpoint, right? So if you can try to remember that, you're going to move contrary into the octave in the outer voices. That's going to be the best voice leading for the cadence. Or think about 4 to 5, however you want to try to remember it. Now if we double the G, we double scale degree 1 in the inner voices, then we'll have G there, we'll have G here, and then we're just going to write out the D chord as smoothly as possible. So I've already got 2 Ds, so I need an F sharp and an A. So if I write it smoothly, I have something like that. So one of the reasons why we don't, why you're going to specifically want to double the G and nothing else, because if you do, you're going to end up with some problems. So you might imagine, if you look at the part writing that I've got here, and wonder, well, why not, instead of having 2 Gs, maybe I could have put an E here instead, if we double the E. Well, one of the reasons we don't do this is because E flat is scale degree flat 6. It's a tendency tone. It's almost like the 7s, almost like doubling scale degree 7. When you're in the minor mode, we tend not to double the flat 6. So that's one reason, is because then we have 2 flat 6s. The other reason, if you look at the alto voice, I've just created sort of a problematic interval. Do you see it? So from E flat to F sharp is what interval? Augmented second, right? So now I've got an augmented second in one of my voices. So it kind of causes two different issues if you don't double scale degree 1. So if you can remember, it'll keep you out of trouble if you can remember to double scale degree 1, and then you'll be set. All right? Got it? So start by just spell out your chords and then try to write this contrary movement in your outer voices into the octave, double scale degree 1, and then you'll be set. That's your Phrygian cadence.